8.5 hours in the big silver bird and you're touching down in paradise. The island itself is 40 miles long and 24 miles wide, just enough to find 17 special stages, a mere 44 stage miles in total. All over in an afternoon? Don't you believe it. Not in Barbados. It takes 2.5 days. So what, you might very well ask, is RPM doing in Barbados? Well, the fact of the matter is that the Barbadians, like the Irish, can close their public roads for rallying. And that's why they've invited one of our top teams to take on the best of the Bajans, who incidentally have never been beaten on their home territory. Rally enthusiasm in this part of the world takes on a whole new meaning. Or to use their own terminology, it's awesome. The Irish Bajan motoring connection is strangely not new. In the 70s, Alec Poole, Derek McMahon and Gabriel Koenig, to name but a few, hopped the Atlantic on a number of occasions to take on the locals. But that was racing. In the intervening years, the pendulum of popularity has swung over to rallying, and the Bajan drivers have become pretty good at skating over the sugarcane-coated roads. It says a lot for Bajan sportsmanship that they are prepared to heavily subsidise the Irish to travel to their shores in order to compare an Irish champion in a state-of-the-art Group A legacy with their own drivers.
Party time! Come on, everybody!
And they have also promised full technical backup for the visitors. It's not just the tyre centres that are different, the classes are also unique. Division 1 for very standard cars, like the examples we see here, more standard than our Group N. Division 2, like this Mazda coming up, somewhere between Group N and Group A. And Division 3, the super lightweight and very powerful local specials. And just how different one of these cars can be seen from this amazing little Peugeot 205, which is a long way from standard. It belongs to Paul Byrne. Maybe he can explain what's in there.
Well, actually, the engine is a 1900 8-valve Peugeot engine that was prepared in England by Skip Brown Cars some 6 or 7 years ago, and they have done no modifications to it. It's been overhauled once, and it gives very, very little trouble. As you can see from the body of the car, we are allowed to lighten these cars, and that's probably what makes them so different to the cars which you guys drive in. Everything that I don't need is taken out of the car. I spent actually the last 2 weeks on a lightening program. I took about 70 pounds more out of the car by changing the doors and the rear fenders and taking out bits and pieces out of the car that just weren't necessary, trying to get it as light as possible.
When we got to the airport, we were told, look out for Roger Hill, and here he is. Roger, what sort of competition have you done before?
Well, we've competed for the last 3 years in all stage rallies here locally, and also we have done rallies in Jamaica just back in December. We're also into a lot of track racing here in Barbados, but this is the rally season, so we're now prepared to do some rallying.
It looks like a fairly standard Toyota from outside, but I don't presume it is.
Well, the engine that's fitted in it doesn't belong to the car at all. It's a 4A GE engine, which is used basically for the Formula Atlantic racers, open wheel vehicles, and we've fitted it into the vehicle. It's 1600 cc's, it's dry sumped, Formula Atlantic head, cams, you know, complete works. It should put out horsepower, I would think, about 190.
Roger, judging by the form book, you're the man to beat.
Well, that's what everyone is saying. Certainly historical facts would say the same. We'll see what happens today.
You've got a very pretty motor car here, and obviously a very purposeful one. What sort of horsepower have you got in there?
It's approximately 230 horsepower, about 750 kilos.
How would you class this challenge from Kenny McKinstry and the Subaru?
I would say it's easily the best we've ever had in this local conditions in Barbados, by far.
Andrew, really, you're the man responsible for this great Irish Caribbean adventure.
Yes, we We've had many people down from UK before, but they've all been low surface guys and haven't really performed as well as we would have thought. So we do keep an eye on international motorsport in Barbados, and we've looked around for where we had good tarmac rallies going and good social guys, and we've plunked on Ireland, and we went for Kenny.
It would seem that all tourists have not been as welcome as Kenny and the rally's other visitor, Andy Cratiger. Andy, you, like Kenny McKinstry, have come a long way for this rally, in fact from Switzerland, but you have been here before.
Yeah, I've been here before in September last year, and the stages we've been going through now is almost the same, just a few night stages more, and it's a little bit advantage for me, I think.
Well, you have a Group N car, but you did extremely well here on your last visit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's well or not. I just was going the way I normally go, but it's difficult to say how well you're here, because this car, you don't know how good they are. They look small, but they are very quick in the turns. If you see Bushy Park, you lose. I lost about Bushy Park here last year 45 seconds, and that's make me back about 3rd place. So if I would count the stages, I think I was second.
Kenny, you've been in this beautiful country almost a week now, so obviously you've had a pretty good look around.
Yeah, we have done quite a good record on the rally. I ended up with either the cold or sunstroke. My body didn't know whether it was shivering or whether it was warm, but yeah, we've had a good time. We've been in the sea a lot. We've done a lot of the stages, so we've been around.
It's a holiday, Robbie, but it's more than that. I mean, you've worked quite hard this week.
Yeah, it's probably the holiday next week for us when we have a few days off. It was important to come here and treat the event fairly seriously. We don't really know how these other guys are going to go, so there's no point in treating it too lightly.
Now, how have you found the roads? Is it that much different from Ireland?
Surprisingly, it's very like Ireland. The only way I can tell that it's not Ireland is it's sunny here. But the condition of the roads, we've got potholes here, we've got very natural roads, I think, in between the sugar plantations, so surprisingly like Ireland.
Motorsport in Barbados is second only to cricket. When you consider that there is a test match taking place at this very moment, just down the road, there is an excellent crowd to see off the 40-odd starters. It's a short run from the start in the west of the island to the first stage. As Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott in the Subaru Legacy set off on the first stage, we realized that there are still many things to learn about rallying in Barbados. The first is that they operate a very sensible reverse seating system, so the slowest cars come first. Did I say slow? Boy, can these guys go. Ray Hutchison in the Suzuki Swift is one of the Division 1 favourites. Jason O'Neill starts in a very determined mood in his Volkswagen. And I know it's hot, but this is ridiculous, Richard Cummings. Neil Bernard takes the wide line. And Anthony Young's Datsun 1200 may be ancient, but his enthusiasm is youthful. The Mark I Escort is still very much alive and well in Barbados, as Wayne Manning proves. And now for the top contenders. Andrew Malayu in his Division 3 Suzuki Swift. Roger Hill with that Formula Atlantic engine in his Esso Toyota Starlet. And Paul Burns' Peugeot, which is a little slower here. Now the Swiss visitor, Andy Cratiger, who takes a desperately late turn in his Group N Sierra 4x4. The hot favourite, Roger Skeet, with Texaco Peugeot 205. You can understand why the Irish team aren't taking this challenge lightly. So how will Kenny compare? The Subaru is looking impressive. and it's certainly impressing the locals. Some of the questions have already been answered. The Irish car will be 5 seconds quicker than Roger Skeet on the very first stage. That's Mel Pollard's stranded Suzuki on the side of the road. Stage 2 is a repeat of stage 1, and we move on to the next corner where, overlooked by the derelict plantation house, there are some more uniquely Bayesian happenings to record, like this holy man, who obviously believes that he comes from a higher authority than the Barbados Rally, and Charlie Lowe is capable of doing him no damage. Any offers for employment? Peter Thompson is moving well in Division 1. And Mel Pollard has repaired his stylish Division 2 Suzuki to get it back in the rally. That's allowed in Barbados. And now it's time for another lesson in Barbados-style rallying. The one exception to the road closing orders are the buses. Close the roads, yes, but disrupt the bus timetable, never. The panic is that Wayne Manning has been travelling at high speed towards the 3:30 bus from Malvern. Well, the passengers can't complain that they didn't see the rally. They were in it. Marshall, what happens to that car now? Does he get another run?
Yeah, he's in there another run because the bus driver refused to stop.
So the bus shouldn't have come up here?
No, the bus should have stopped till somebody called him through.
I don't think I'd like to have been a passenger in that bus.
Well, the passengers don't have any problem. The driver of the car is who have the problem. Because then he'd be having a big bus in front of him when they expect the road to be clear.
So more bikes, buses, a police car, and 2 hours later, we finally clear stage 2. But who cares when you're in the sun? Grandstands full at Canefield Crossroads because this is a favourite spot for action. Neil Bernard doesn't disappoint. But Roger Hill is about to give us an even more spectacular show. Sadly, this is the last time we will see this talented local driver in the event. But Bayesian pride is about to take an even bigger blow. The 5 times Barbados Rally champion Roger Skeet has made a rare mistake, and on only the 4th stage, he's out of the rally. What went wrong there, Roger?
Just a wet road. Slicks on a wet road. They basically saw. And a little too much commitment.
Pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes,
back over the other side. They got to start again. Other cars coming.
So the local favourite is out, somewhat easing the pressure on Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott.
now, see. Between me and you, the only way he could drive is if he get clearance from the airport in Barbados, you understand? I'm out flying low and fast.
But now comes the rain that the Barbadians had warned us about. The result is a surface worse than ice, as Don Hume demonstrates. As we get to the end of the first day, Kenny is wisely cautious in these conditions, anxious to preserve his lead over Andy Cradiger, Richard Rowett, Paul Byrne and Simon Gilmore. By the end of the day, the questions had been answered. A Group A Subaru Legacy in the skillful hands of Kenny McKinstry was more than a match for the locally built lightweights. The fun is not over for the Calibre team, which will get many surprises as they bounce across Barbados. After the Barbados burgers, it's back into the night for 6 stages in darkness. Kenny is confident with a 27-second advantage over Andy Cradiger. The night stages new to the Barbadians should suit the visitors, and Kenny takes the opportunity to extend his lead. Cradiger is keeping on the pressure as he knows that any problem in this short event can result in dramatic changes. Andrew Milieu goes ditch-hugging here. But he loses little time in the Texaco Suzuki. More than can be said for Paul Marshall. As Peter Thompson goes through, Paul, and particularly his girlfriend Sarah Allen, have had a nasty shock.
Wait, don't go ahead and sit down. Go and sit down in the car there, sir.
They eventually extract the 7-Up Toyota from the ditch, the main damage being to Paul's prowess. The spectators are up early on Sunday morning at Turner's Hill, and while Andrew Malalieu and Danny Cook climb the spectacular valley, the rally leader is in big trouble on the previous stage.
60. What's wrong? Right, 40. 2 left, 40. Try and keep her running. 3 left. Into 2 right, maybe over a crest. 60. You see anything obvious? Try and get her right over that crest. Try and get her right.
Unknown to us, Andy Cradiger is now in the lead because of Kenny's problems. The Irish team have lost a lot of time, and the Swiss team have upped their pace to try and stay ahead of Kenny's more powerful Group A car. The Subaru has had to be pushed off the last stage with a considerable time loss. It's now a desperate race to recover time with very few miles to do it in.
Sure, 1 left over 3 jump, 60. 2 left over crest into 2 right.
To have travelled halfway across the world and to lose at this stage would be a disaster.
Right and right over crest, 60. Crest 100, turn back, 5 left. It's along 4 right. 40. Right, 60. Left over crest, 60.
Still, the Barbadians are getting the show of their lives.
4 right,
And Charlie Lowe, the fright of his life.
40.
Paul Byrne and Richard Gooding will finish 3rd in the Mobil 1 back Peugeot, just 18 seconds ahead of Richard Rowett and Brian Hurley's garish and highly modified Toyota. Evidently Richard is in reality as extrovert as the yellow and orange colour scheme on his Toyota Starlet. Andrew Malalieu and Danny Cuk are 5th in their beautifully driven Suzuki. And Simon Gilmore and Michael Carrington top the Division 2 runners in their Peugeot 205 with an excellent 6th place overall. Geoffrey Noel and Simon Buckmaster bring more success to the Texaco team by being the top Division 1 finishers, but the overall winner is far from decided. As Crattinger and McKinstry come down the mountain, we have a word with the man from Banbridge. Kenny, how's things going?
Oh, it's been a terrible morning. We had a lead of over a minute, and the second stage out this morning, the car, one of the ignition switches had just popped out and wouldn't go back in again. And we ended up, we had to push the car to the finish of the stage. We dropped a minute and a half, which left Andy Gazinger half a minute in the lead. And the problem is that there's only like 15 stage miles today, so it's really, really hard to go. We've 3 stages left. We've taken 15 off them, and it's, you know, it's like maximum attack.
After all the bad luck, a bit of good luck. They have mistimed Kenny's last run up Turner's Hill, so Kenny gets another go. This time, he's quicker. The 2 imports are grabbing all the attention, but we may have the secret weapon to put Barbados back on top. Paul Byrne leading the local opposition. What sort of sandwich are we having there?
Well, actually, this is some Subaru repellent that I'm hoping will do the trick this afternoon.
It hasn't been working so far.
No, definitely not. Actually, I don't think it's going to work either. Those guys are way too quick.
To highlight the friendliness of the Barbados rally, Kenny's team have been helping Andy with a small problem. Kenny, it's very encouraging when you see a battle as close as this, that you spend the last service before the final shootout helping the opposition.
Well, the man says we want to beat these guys on the stages as well, so I mean, everyone here is unbelievable. Any amount of help is given anytime you ask for it, 100%, you know, so man says we just work at it.
We're now into the very last stage, and the Calibre car is still 5 seconds adrift. As you can see from the missing bumper, Kenny has been really going for it.
Hey, Subaru, please!
Andy Crattinger has given them a fabulous fight right to the finish in Bushy Park, where they know that motorsporting history has been made in Barbados this weekend, but they don't know who's made it. Kenny, who's won? You better say that again.
We have by 1 second.
1 second.
1 second.
And this is the man here. This is the man that can't believe it.
This is the boy.
There's an expression in this business: every second counts. What?
God, I tell you, every second counts in this rally anyway. The last stage was maximum. I mean, nothing left, and I think same applies here.
Is that where the bump is missing now?
Well, did you any mistakes in the last one?
Yeah, just a little bit, the 1 and the 3. I just slip out a little bit, but that's okay, that's the risk.
I'd personally like to congratulate both Kenny and Andy for a fantastic performance by both of them, and I hope the rest of the spectators enjoyed it as much as we did, rooting for both of them during the course of the rally.
And so the Texaco Trophy leaves Barbados for the first time, and it's on its way to Ireland. But one mustn't forget the sensational Swiss Andy Crattinger and his French navigator Jacques Lemperrier, who put on such a fight. The world of motorsport could take a lesson from Barbados, because in this fun-filled land, sportsmanship, so often a thing of the past in Europe, is alive and well. Where else would you see a reception like this for a team that has just taken away the honours from the homeland? The Irish are now headline news. Today in Bridgetown, Barbados, Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott have become the new legends of the Bayesian stages. But one wonders, will the local drivers be so keen to invite back the team that has so comprehensively caned them in their own cane fields?